Welcome. We're going to be talking about confidence on camera today, just being confident as you create online, because this is the biggest hurdle for people. I feel like it is the biggest thing that gets in people's way whenever it comes to like, you've got a fire in your belly, you've got a message to share. And so it's up to you to put yourself out there. And this feels like a little more conversational right now. So we're going to get going and start recording the podcast. If you haven't been over to my podcast yet, it is on Apple and it is on Spotify. It's called Tap That Magic. And so I love helping other entrepreneurs understand what it is that makes them different. And so there's a lot of really cool like astrology and gene key readings that take place on my channel, but there's also a lot of stuff about confidence, about consistency, about showing up as like the biggest, boldest, proudest, like wildest, weirdest version of you online. And so all of that good stuff is included in the Tap That Magic podcast. So we're going to like sit and chill and record an episode while we're hanging out today. I have my comment section open here on TikTok and even on YouTube. And if you have questions that come through, like as I'm speaking about these things, or just about your confidence in general and about like the things that we're going to be covering, feel free to drop your question. I know I have a squirrel brain. Like I'm such a big believer. Like if there's something that needs to come through, I will see it and I will answer it for you. And it will help a lot more people because if like you're dealing with it, it means that other people are navigating through this problem as well. Like it's the funniest thing. I'm such a big believer that like you are so special and you are so different. But at the same time, like whenever it comes to being an entrepreneur, like everybody deals with shit. Everybody doubts themselves. Everybody has those moments where they don't know exactly where they're going next or trusting what they're going to be doing. Like you're not special in that sense. Like we all have things that we navigate through. And the more open we are and like talk about these things and how each one of us navigates through it differently, the more other people can take that and learn from it and go move and go grow in their own way. So, fun podcast. And by the way, you can go back and listen to this podcast. I'll probably upload this today. I love like making things while it's hot and I just like put it on put it up on my podcast. So, if you want to re-listen to this, like make sure you go Apple or Spotify and you go listen to the Tap That Magic podcast. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start recording. Like I said, this is the first time I'm doing a YouTube video while a TikTok, while recording a podcast. And like, I love that. I love this idea of like being kind of everywhere at once. And I think it's really fun. So let's get rolling. Hello, and welcome back to the Tap That Magic podcast. I feel like I always start every single episode with, I'm so excited. Like, because truly, I am so excited to be here. I'm always so excited to show up for my business and to speak the messages that I know need to come through. And like, there could have been a million excuses for me today. Like, we've got friends coming over later. Like, I'm on my period right now. Like, all of these things. I've got my dog in my office and sometimes he barks and it's really loud. And like, there's just a million things. Or it's a Saturday. Hey, I could use that excuse of like, it's a Saturday. I don't feel like creating content. I'm just going to like lay out and like chill and do whatever. Girl, like there's no more time for excuses. Like we live, and I did a post on this today. This is going to be like the longest intro ever, but we live in a day and age where we should be so grateful at the exposure that we're able to get just by flipping open our phone and speaking. And the amount of confidence that can get built just by like, I'm literally sitting here. These are Harry Potter socks today. Like, can you see me on YouTube? These are little lightning bolt Harry Potter socks. They're usually Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Care Bears. Like, I'm wearing little comfy shorts and I'm speaking to people all across the world. You know what I mean? Whether you're watching this now or you're watching this 5 years later, like we live in a day and age where we have zero excuses as to why you cannot show up if you've got this fire in your belly, why you cannot show up and create a community, why you cannot show up and create an incredible impact with your words, with your offers, with just these little messages that you can drop in a TikTok video that takes you 1 minute to post. Like, it's the craziest thing. And those moves are the moves that can change your life forever. But my post today was talking about, like, barely even 100 years ago, people would have to get on a freaking horse and ride town to town to go get their message across, to go sell their book, to go talk about their class that they have for people, like whatever they were doing back then. You had to physically get on a horse and travel from town to town to get your message heard and get it across to the world. Do you realize, like, people can complain all day long about this is going on in the world, that's going on in the world. That's always how it's been. Like, understand, there's always been good and there's always been bad. And it's one of those things where if you so choose to, you can see this right now as the most beautiful, incredible, expansive time in history ever, that we are so connected with one another, that we have this at the palm of our fingertips in this magical little square that you keep in your hands at all times while you're consuming other people's content, that you could be truly stepping up on your soapbox and creating your own. We have no more excuses as to why we cannot show up and become the most confident version of ourselves on the internet, because somebody out there needs your shit. Somebody out there needs what it is that is in this big, squishy, beautiful brain of yours that you think is ordinary. And that's like the saddest part of it, honestly, because I've done this to myself too, where I'll study a topic and I'll get really good at it and I'll like become full blown, like hyper fixated, obsessed with something. Put in the hours. And like, I would still think, oh, Stephanie, who are you to talk on that? Who are you to teach on this subject? Whenever there's other people out there that literally know a third of the information that you do, and they're out there screaming it from the rooftops. They have half of the experience as you. And it comes down to you deciding to open up your phone, to open up Canva, open up YouTube, whatever it is that is your choice, and start showing up like the powerhouse that you are meant to be. There's no more settling. There's no more playing it small. And what I want to talk to you about today is truly, in these past years, or the past 2 years of me showing up and posting every single day, not just like here and there sporadic, of me posting every single day in between TikTok and Instagram. This is what I have learned whenever it comes to business that does not always get talked about, or maybe you haven't heard it in the way that I'm going to talk about it today. And I'm so excited for you, because whenever I uncovered some of this for myself, it was the biggest aha moment, game changer, like flip you over with a spatula kind of feeling. And it made me feel so much more capable and so much more ready to conquer the fears of getting on live video, to conquer the fear of putting your most intimate thoughts out there on social media, to have it written, to have it seen. And whenever we start, a lot of times it's people that we've known from the past. It's not even like our ideal clients yet that are coming, and we have to show up and we have to be this brave person that we've never been before. And instead of letting this be the thing that keeps you saying like, oh, maybe next month I'll start posting on TikTok. Oh, maybe next month I'll sell this offer that feels really alive on my heart. Oh, maybe next month I'll get really consistent with my Instagram content. Fuck that noise. Fuck that noise. Start now. Be big now. Realize what you've got in that big squishy brain of yours right the F now. There's no more time to waste, because my God, my past work doing psychic medium work, like Teresa Caputo level feeling of like speaking to people that had crossed on made me realize life is a blank. Your life is a freaking blank. And you've got to put yourself out there if you've got that fire in your belly. Now, if you're somebody that you're like, oh, I'm just here to be a faceless brand. Oh, I don't want to get on the camera, then that's beautiful for you. And that's fine. But that is not who I'm speaking to today. Who I'm speaking to is the woman that knows she's got to overcome this fear of being seen on a massive level. The woman who knows that she's got courses and ideas and inspiration inside of her that can literally change people's lives on a massive level. The woman that knows she is meant to have eyes on her, even if she doesn't know exactly how it's going to happen, when it's going to play out, what it's going to look like, what message it is she's going to be speaking. That's okay. You just don't know how to start. Well, here's the coolest thing. What we're going to be talking about today, these 4 ideas, I'm probably going to be talking your ear off for a while to come. And these truly are like the values and the pillars I've built my business on, but I know can help you so much whenever you are either just at the beginning or you're pivoting. Or maybe you've been doing this for years and you're just like, I know there's more. I know there's a bigger space for me to fill in this world. Because I've worked with women that are all across the board, whether they are just starting, whether they are years in and they're making that turn into something bigger, they're opening their arms wider, or they're just like, I've got to skyrocket. I can't play it in mediocre coach land anymore. I have something bigger. I have a brand to build. I have an impact to create, and I'm ready. This is where our work begins. And the very first thing that is so interesting to me, because I had a moment, like whenever I started showing up for my online business, I started teaching on the Gene Keys, which is like a deep dive into your human design and your astrology and understanding what your strengths are and what makes you different. And you and I are having a conversation right here, right now. Like I said, whether you're listening to this at this moment in time or 5 years from now. And I want you to know that there was this moment where I was like, I had been teaching it and I had done every single piece of understanding these Gene Keys and astrology and human design. And I figured like I gobbled up all this information and I got it. But there was a piece of me that was like, are people just looking to this for a quick answer instead of a massive transformation? And I had to realize, I was like, you know what, Stephanie, it's up to you to say it in a way that hits for that person that wants to take action, that doesn't want to just sit around rolling in Mercury retrogrades and full moons. Like, no, they want to understand, just like an Enneagram or just like a Myers-Briggs personality test or a Strength Finders, what it is that makes them different and bring it to the table in their business. And so I really had to look at this from a whole new lens and be like, okay, these Gene Keys, our astrology, our date of birth. No, it's not ever something that you have to be married to or keep yourself in a box from. But my God, what it is what catapulted my business, got me to sell. I had a lavender company, for God's sakes, and got me to sell that business because like shed friends, start like a completely different life because of the information in my Gene Keys and in my astrology, in my human design. Because whenever you don't know where to start, like you were saying, or how to start, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, let's begin with my gifts. Almost like if you were to think about all of the jobs that you've had before, all of the things that you've been interested in. And you literally write them all out and you're like, what are my favorite pieces here? What are my favorite things that I've learned about that I could give a speech on for a half an hour with no notes? Like, what is it that lights me up, that makes me feel like a thunderbolt is going through every cell in my body? Like, I can literally feel my organs tingling inside of me whenever I talk about this thing. I know it so well, and it makes me that happy that I know other people could benefit from. And finally, in Washington, after a year of work, oh, I love that. That's what you're studying right now. That's amazing. And that's why, like, truly, I started creating content on these gene keys because there wasn't anything out there 2 years ago. It was literally just the source material, and that was it. And I was like, this shit feels like it could be way more fun. It feels like it could be way more fun. And so that's what I did. I spent a year studying it and working with other entrepreneurs and seeing how they were using it, studying different celebrities and their charts and seeing, like, okay, where are they turning on this power inside of them? Like, where are they using these gene keys? Where are they using their profile lines? How are they showing up like this? I've done it with entrepreneurs on social media as well as these celebrities, and I'm seeing where, whether they realize it or not, they're using the strengths of their charts to come forward and brand themselves, to come forward and present themselves as this, like when we think about profile lines, some people are the authority. Some people are like this mad scientist that they just experiment and they give everybody else the feedback from their crazy experiments. Other people are just a natural and people love to watch them and learn from them. Other people are role models. We're all over and we're all different. And it's the wildest thing whenever you start to see successful people are stepping into these shoes without even realizing it. And it's truly, it's the most magical thing that you will ever experience whenever you have this sense of self. Because most people will jump into their online business and they'll go straight for, who is my ideal client? What is it that I need to be saying to them? And those things are beautiful. Those things are necessary. And we'll even touch on it in a minute. But my God, most people don't even know who the heck they are. And inside of these gene keys, there's 11 different circles. When you look on your chart, there's 11 different things that make you unique and make you different. And you bet your ass that there's going to be something in that chart that lights that firebolt inside of you that you had not recognized was one of your gifts. You never realized this was a strength of yours. And once you see it there, it turns on something inside of you that you're like, I want to start showing up as this person now. I remember for me, the very first domino that fell with these gene keys was the 60-second gene key. All about using your voice, all about taking big topics and breaking them down in an easier way for other people to digest. And so, like I had said, I had been doing the first part, I had been learning, but I was too scared to use that voice to say it in my own way because the way that I understood it was different than the original text. Whether it was the gene keys or tarot cards or energy updates, all the things that I used to teach on, my brain understood it differently. And so I would teach it in my own way. But I was scared to do that because I was like, does that make me wrong? But once I just got the heck over it and jumped on this almost like a wild stallion and just let myself ride, that's when I started uncovering more and more and more of myself that I could bring into my business. Because most people think It's just about what it is that you sell. No, it's not. Because you could throw a rock and go buy a content course on Instagram. You could throw a rock and go find a healer on Instagram. You could throw a rock and go find an astrologer. But what most people are missing, and especially in the beginning of their business, is the them part, the you, who you are. And realizing that whenever you are so in your own awesome sauce, like truly, whenever you are so marinated in your own energy and who you are and what your strengths are and what you bring to the table, people will buy no matter where you're at, no matter what you're selling. Do you want to have something, a brand where you just sell one thing for forever for the rest of time? No. And if you do, like, cool, that's for you, but that's not who I'm talking to. We're having a conversation about building something that can grow with you. Because I believe that if you're here, you're not some slow grower. You're somebody that has big things happen quick. You're somebody that moves faster than anybody else. And you're somebody that is brave. I'm just a big believer, like, bottom line, when you hear information, it's at the time that you need it to take it in and to move with it. And I believe if you're hearing this, that you are that action taker, that you are that person that's going to show up for yourself through all of the different evolutions. So why not have a business that can grow with you? And that business has to be centered around who you are. There has to be that piece around you truly believing, and this isn't even about ego. Like, I truly don't even entertain these conversations anymore because there is such a thing as healthy ego. But this is truly about, like, you're not looking for the validation from the outside, and you love the heck out of yourself and what you have to offer to the world. And I believe that your gene keys, your astrology, your human design is going to show you shit about yourself that you have been icing over and not fully leaning into to your highest capability. No joke. The gene keys have inspired the ways that I create content. They've inspired the ways that I've created offers. They inspire how I literally brand myself. I found out I have the 56 gene key. This is all about having a sense of humor. And here I was for the first, like, probably almost year of my online business back in like 2022, where I was like trying to be all prim and proper and have it all perfect. Like, girl, that's not who I am. I'm like goofy and weird and strange and fun. And so whenever I started incorporating like memes and just like being more of myself and not trying to be this perfect Instagram model or Instagram content creator or TikTok creator, like just being myself, that's when everything started changing and the coolest people started coming into my world. And outside of your astrology and your gene keys and your human design and things like that, your Enneagram, your Myers-Briggs, because I literally clump them all together because I feel like you could sit down and write a list from all of these things and grab your favorite pieces and be like, oh my God, this is like the energy that I need to be showing up with now. These are my strengths. These are my gifts. This is who I am. Like, let's see what happens whenever I really step it up and get into this vibe. And outside of that, it's the, like, next is the pieces of you. I would have never discovered this version of me that can create posts over on Instagram that don't feel or sound like anybody else's if I wouldn't have been able to get on camera. I know that sounds weird. It's like, how do your writing skills like cross over with your speaking skills? They totally do. It's all about communication. If I wouldn't have gotten on these lives so many times, like hundreds and hundreds of lives at this point, I can't even count how many lives I've done because there was a time period where I went live every single day for 4.5 months and then continued to do it like 4 times a week. I've only just now started getting a little bit more like streamlined with my lives because I used to get on just because I was like, I got to get my voice strong. I got to get good at teaching. This wasn't even just about like showing up and serving other people. It was like Stephanie showing up for Stephanie and Stephanie getting better so that she can help more people. Like, this is your responsibility. If you want to feel very self-expressed and love what it is that you're doing and love how it is that you show up and feel confident making your videos, you have to be willing to do it again and again and again. Repetition is your friend when it comes to what it is that you're talking about, when it comes to the actions that you're taking. If I would have just gotten on 2 or 3 lives a month in the beginning, I would have learned diddly squat. And I would have been a little hamster on the hamster wheel, still trying to figure out why nothing had changed. But it was through like sheer insanity and willpower, if we're being totally honest, that I got on video and I spoke every single day. And I was just like, what lesson can I pull? Like, there's got to be something I can pull and I can bring back into my business. And even on those days, it felt hard. Even on those days that I felt tired or uncomfortable, or who the heck do you think you are showing up like this, I got better. My voice got stronger. I got more confident when it came to like creating TikToks. I got more confident when it came to speaking to sell on my Instagram stories. I got more confident when it came to my writing. Like, you want something to quantum leap how you see yourself and how you communicate and how you hold yourself with other people, get on live video for the next 6 months and make it your priority, and you will never be the same person again. You will never be the same person again. I recently picked up a side job because I wanted something to complement my life. And I had been working at home and doing so many Zoom calls and teaching master classes and literally talking to myself. And it had been a while since I had been in like bigger social settings, like a lot. And because I'm kind of like a little introvert, I'm a little hermit crab sometimes. Like, I love just hanging out on the couch with me and my husband. And so I picked up this side job just to like challenge myself and just to get like social and just to do something fun. And I went into this job and I realized how much live video had changed the way that I speak with people and the standards that I hold for myself and the confidence that I feel as a human being walking through the grocery store, driving my car, selling my offers, getting on video, changed all of it. It was everything. And no, I don't believe that you have to do it all the time for the rest of your life. But in the beginning, it's so fucking important. And if you're, I have a corgi snorting behind me. He's so tired. But it's one of those things in the beginning, you have to do it. But if you're anything like me, it will become so addictive in the sense that you're like, how do I keep getting better? How do I keep getting clearer? How do I keep teaching in a way that captivates even more? You're going to become obsessed with this. And you're not ever going to want to stop, because once you realize that you have this at the tip of your fingers at any time, there's going to be so many more ideas that are coming through you. I'm such a big believer that The more that we share what is inside of our mind is the more ideas that are going to come through to us. You're sitting around twirling your thumbs, waiting for inspiration instead of taking all of the shit that's in your brain right now and making it useful and solving a problem for people. I promise you, you've already got it. You've already got it in your brain right now. There's not anything else you need to do. It's already there. Now it's about you executing on this. Now it's about you showing up and sweating through your shirt and talking to the screen again and again and again. Now it's about you creating posts on Instagram every single day for the next year, again and again and again. Because, like, I'm not ever going to sugarcoat consistency. And that literally brings us into the next point. Repetition and consistency is your best fucking friend. It is your best friend whenever it comes to showing up, because my husband was explaining this to me the other day. So I go through like really hyper fixated, obsessive, like kind of with different things in my life, whether it be different exercise routines or whether it be like shows or books and like series and things like that. And so I had one of those moments where we've been getting together with our friends playing Nintendo 64, like Mario Party, like twice a month. And I haven't ever been one of those people that's like played a video game all the way through since like maybe Pokemon Snap whenever I was a kid. And like my husband has all these different Mario games, and I played some of them whenever I was younger, but like never all the way through. And my husband was telling me I jumped on this game called like Mario Galaxy, and it was from like 2008, and I had never played it before, and I was playing it yesterday. And he's like, here's the thing though, if you really want to beat this game, he's like, you've got to continue to play it like at like decently regularly so that you remember all the moves that got you to this point. And my God, if that doesn't freaking reflect the work that we do here on social media and how you show up and how you can create. You can't just make 10 videos once a month and then expect yourself to get better. Like, you have to be willing to show up for it every day and get better at it. Because here's the thing. When it comes to social media and when it comes to your confidence online and how you teach things and how you hold yourself, it is brick by brick by brick. Every day, chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. And if you can make that thing your reward, getting finished with your work, getting on that live video, posting that piece of content every morning, your reward, your gold medal, instead of, oh, I want 20,000 likes on this, or I want 1 million views on this video. Girl, if you can make the work your reward as you build, you will be so unfuckwithable that the sky's not even the limit. Most people don't have tenacity. They don't. We live in a day and age of soft girl era, of everybody being overly so hypersensitive to mental health days. And while there's so much beauty in those things and we can take the pieces we need, there's also something that's being lost in the translation. And that's dedication to your work. That's showing up and getting better at something every single day, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient. Even when you'll sit in here on your lady time of the month And while, yes, it would sound fun to go sit downstairs and watch Little Women, even though I just did that the other day, like there was a fire in my belly of like, I want to jump on a live video. I want to record this podcast. I have something to say. You've got that. You've got that ability to show up for yourself again and again and again. I was talking on a masterclass the other week, and I had never known this, but I've thought about it almost every day since I taught that masterclass. My husband was telling me, and it doesn't matter what you think about this human being, but talking about Joe Rogan in the sense that the first 6 years of his podcast, he was not making diddly squat on it. Most people wouldn't have guessed that. Most people wouldn't have known that, or they see where he is now and they're like, oh yeah, this just like all happened so quick, blah, blah, blah. No, there were 6 years where he showed up for that, where he wasn't getting the return that he really, really wanted, but he knew there was something there. Mind you, he had been working in the entertainment industry for even longer than that for all of it to come up and build to the point that it is now. While you're sitting there twirling your thumbs and upset that something hasn't blown up after 3 months, there's people that are willing to show up every single day for years to create what it is that they want. What kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be that person that seeks the external validation, that seeks just quick results and has no longevity behind it? Because I've witnessed people time and time again who have a quick pop off and then they have to go back and do the foundational work. And of course, we all have our own stories and our own ways. And like, girl, lean into your story no matter where it took you. Like if you popped off quick or if it took you time to build. But you will never regret putting in the time and the energy to create something because you're not ordinary. So why would you move like an ordinary person that only wants the likes, that only wants the views, that only wants that one moment in the spotlight? No, you have something so much bigger to give and to offer this world. So show up like that. Get better every day. And these things, they will build, and you make the doing your reward. That is your reward. I showed up today. I did my taxes today. Like it's almost like this idea of, how with runners, like back this last summer, I was on like a really big running kick. And for a long time, I would feel like, okay, whenever I get to that mark and I end my run, I would throw my hands up in the air. I'd be like, yes, I made it. I'm done. But then I was realizing the majority of the time I was outside, I was actually doing the thing. And only 1 millisecond was the yeah. So I had to start learning to love the one step in front of the other, the one foot that replaced the other foot as I kept going, as I pounded the pavement. And I was just like, I love this. I love this. I love this. Gaslit the shit out of myself. Like you really like to have this kind of tenacity. You do have to gaslight yourself in the sense of like, I've got this. I am capable of doing hard things. Jesus, if that might be like carved inside of my brain right now, because no matter where I'm at, if there's something, that feeling whenever like things could easily start to get stressful, where like your blood pressure starts rising up and you can feel your heart fluttering in your chest and you're like, oh, something's changing. In those moments, you have the magical ability to tell yourself, I got this. I can do difficult things. I can navigate through uncomfortable situations. On the other side of that, you are a fucking goddess. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, you are a powerhouse. If you can be that kind of person, that's good advice. I never thought about that. Yeah. I truly think it's like ingrained inside of my head right now because every time I have one of those moments where my heart starts to flutter and where I witness other people getting flustered, I say to myself, you can do hard things. This is you. This is your moment. This is your chance to do things different than 99% of the population. Like, whoa. What if we started looking at every decision like that? Because you're not meant to be ordinary. So why would you move and have emotional reactions and like only in it for that quick validation like every other Joe Schmo and Larry? That's not who you are. You're a leader. You've got that fire in your belly, remember? And you don't take these hiccups or these obstacles as, oh shit, I'm defeated. No. Ooh, this is just getting juicy. Ooh, this is just getting good. Ooh, I can figure this out. I tell the story about how my husband like literally forced me to learn how to run my own website. And I was so frustrated with him because he does IT for an entire company for a living. He's not like a website designer, but he could figure it out. You know what I mean? And I was like, why don't you just do this for me? Like, you suck. Like, I love my husband. Like, if you know me, if you've been in my world before, I'm full blown obsessed with my husband. I think he's the cutest of the cuties. And I am all about having like super strong, healthy relationships in your life. But I was so mad at him because he was like, no, you better learn this website thing on your own. And lo and behold, after months of being pissed at this website and trying to figure it out and not understanding it, I got the gist of it. And I am not a computer wizard in any way, shape, form, or the other. I need you to know that. Like, I am not somebody that 2 years ago I would have considered like, oh, Stephanie can figure out computers really well. No, like I literally bird peck my typing because I never learned how to type the correct way. Like I like just forced my way through my typing, you know? And so I learned how to do something that I didn't think I was capable of. And when I tell you that those moments, anytime that I like send an email or like have a course set up or do this, that, the other on my website, like I'm like high as a kite because I didn't think I was capable of that a short time ago. And now I'm just like cranking things out and experimenting with different things. I'm like, this is wonderful. And I've got it covered. So when you start showing up consistently, you built this backbone for yourself to trust yourself. You have. That's what it comes down to. Whenever you're consistent, of course you get seen by more people. Of course it's good for the algorithm, but you're doing it for you. To believe in yourself, because whenever you believe in yourself and you're the most confident version of yourself, you will have a much greater impact and be able to help people solve their problems at an even higher level. I like that, even higher level. I told you I have fire in my belly and I had to come on today and I had things to say and I was like, you know what? Like, Stephanie, get the F out of the way because like there's something that needs to be said that somebody needs to hear. You've got that. You've got that something that needs to be said every single effing day. I'm not even joking you. You have something inside of you every single day that could change the trajectory of somebody else's life. Like, hello, that is worth showing up and getting the F over yourself, your fears, your anxieties, your worries. That is worth you becoming this person that's unshakable. I'm so freaking thankful you're on here today. I was really hoping you would be. I'm so thankful you're on here today because I I just know like these messages aren't just like, oh, it's just living in Stephanie's brain. Like, I'm just such a big believer that it's like whenever we decide to get hooked up to this thing that's almost like this internet soapbox, right? It's like these messages that more people than just you need can come through. You're the instrument. You're the instrument for the genius to move through. You are. So don't put it all on you. Just know that the more that you show up and you do this, it's like a well-oiled machine. You know what I mean? How like every time you go to the gym, you get stronger, like sit-ups get easier, like whatever it is for you, it just gets easier and better and bigger every single time. This is the work that I love doing with people is it comes down, there's so many different ways to look at it, but it comes down to confidence and it comes down to how you see yourself and it comes down to the decisions that you make and the actions that you take that are going to yield the results that you're craving. It's energy and then the action. It's your beliefs about yourself, then the move. It's the most incredible thing. And the more consistent you are, the faster and faster and faster this process will go for you. And the last part of being confident, and I love to talk about this, especially because my stingy little rebellious ass like sees maybe it's because ever since I made this freebie, I feel like I've been hyper aware of what other like I don't look at a lot of content, but the pieces that I've seen about like saying things about content hooks, I'm like, oh girl, this is like stirring my cauldron in the best kind of way because I would not be where I am today without using content hooks. And if you don't know much about content hooks right now, every single person that you love watching their videos, they use hooks. And there was a time where like I knew I had all this juice in my brain, right? Like all these ideas that wanted to come out, but I didn't know how to speak it in a way that was captivating, right? Like I didn't know how to speak it in a way that would like grab people's attention. And so there's two reasons that I'm obsessed with content hooks and not in just like the, oh, just like this is how I did X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, like the really creative ones and the really weird ones and the visual hooks and this, that, the other. But I'm obsessed with them because I don't believe it's going to go away. Yeah, I don't think that TikTok's going to go away. And even if it did for some reason, I would literally move on to the next thing and just like come out like a shark. Like I just would like, because I've created on so many different platforms right now, I just figure it out and I'd make it work. Like that is the bottom line with things. And I would probably go even harder into Instagram lives. And there's never a closed door is all I'm going to say. Like there's never a closed door without there being a window opened up. There's always a way for you to navigate around any kind of obstacles that come up. So this is a question just in case you're listening on the podcast. It was like, what's going to happen? Like, what are you going to do if TikTok goes away? I would literally find a different way. I would find it through Instagram or through, yeah, I needed that mentality. Yeah, because there always is that open window. There's always that open window because if we live in this land of like, woe is me, because trust me, like I had that feeling. I was like, so many of my clients have come from TikTok lives and I could have easily been like, fuck, like this sucks. And what am I going to do? And I stopped Stephanie in her tracks and I was like, girl, we did not have time for that when we could be applying our energy to where else we could be creating. YouTube, LinkedIn, like I don't even care. Like LinkedIn needs more hippies and less like buttoned up people. Like no joke. It needs more people doing different things. So I've been over there doing crap all the time, like just trying to bring the funny, bring the weird. Like there's so many different avenues you can take. But back to content hooks in the sense, I love content hooks because I think of it in two ways. Like, yes, it's going to captivate people's attention because you're saying it in a way that stirs curiosity. So you're talking about your subject, the thing that you teach on, whether it's intuitive eating or whether it's like counting your macros, or I always use fitness examples because they feel so easy, or whether it's, I don't know, like what kind of books you read, like it doesn't matter, whatever it is that you're teaching on, it says it in a way that makes it captivating for somebody and makes them like stop that scroll and like pay attention. But also hooks are for you, girl, boy, squirrel, whoever you are. Like hooks are for you in the sense that I love, like I'm an intuitive soul, right? Although I don't talk about this all the time, my past, I was a lavender farmer and a psychic medium. And so I'm very much where I don't always love to batch content. I'll do it for like just a couple days in a row, but if it's longer than a few days, I'm like, oh, this is old Stephanie. Like I literally changed so much in a few days. Like every single day I change so much as a person and grow so much as a person that like TikToks that I created 4 days ago, I'm like, who is this? Like I don't even resonate with her. Like that's how fast I feel like I grow. And so for me, content hooks, like having a list of these content hooks, and it takes time to edit too much. Yeah. Having a list of these content hooks is like where I can look at this whole list. And I have a freebie in the link in my bio. It's 107 content hooks that you can create TikTok videos from and Instagram reels, or even like Instagram posts, or like base a live off of, that you can literally scroll through. And I would create this for myself. And that's why I turned it into a freebie, because I'm like, if I'm using this every fucking day, like this can benefit somebody else. If I'm like, every day I know I have something to say, but then like the way that one of the hooks is worded, I'm like, oh, this is juicy. And I just got a really cool idea and I'm going to phrase my lesson in this way. That is what hooks are for, to captivate and to help you create something that feels very alive to you that day. And I want to see it. You said, how would I do that on LinkedIn? So when it comes to, and I thank you for the questions, like keep them coming. I love to answer questions on here. I'm a little generator spirit, so I like responding to things. It's really fun. And so how would you show up on LinkedIn? So what I do is I just take some of my repurposed content from either TikTok, an Instagram reel, a like written post, and I just show up like that. And it's been a grand experiment. Like I'm not even joking. I have 3 followers on LinkedIn and I do not give a shit because I'm here for longevity. Like I could care less about the followers because I'm like, this is about me building a body of work that somebody can go back on and binge their ass off and be like, where the fuck has this girl been my whole life? Like, I believe that you have that. And so whenever we're like waiting for these vanity metrics, we're truly taking away how potent and how powerful we can be in the future. And so I use LinkedIn just as a place to share some of my stuff that I'm like, ooh, I know this will hit with somebody that's maybe been a little bit more corporate and needs a little bit more of this confidence boost, or needs a little bit of this like astrology piece that's going to help them understand themselves. Like there's all different kinds of like business and corporations that bring in astrologers or people that talk about consistency every single day. So like there are people on that social media. If I had the feeling to start posting on there, it's because somebody on there needs what it is that I've got to say. So it's my job to be visible. It's your job to be visible on social media. And so where you're pulled to, I always tell people, I'm like, start with 1 or 2. So for me, I started heavy with Instagram and TikTok. So that's been 2 years now. But then I slowly started adding YouTube. I added my podcast in, and then recently has just been like LinkedIn and Twitter and Threads and things like that. And actually, I got on Threads like the first day, and it was like the most freeing thing whenever it came to content, because like everything that was in my brain, I just like challenged myself to like, instead of putting it in my notes on my phone, I just put it on Threads and Twitter. And like so many content ideas came from that. But yeah, I just felt that like fire in my belly to be like, let's expand further and further and further. And started like writing articles for Medium and things like that. So I say start with one or two places and then grow from there. And how did I decide on a focus point? Whenever I started teaching, it was just solely on the Gene Keys. And it was because I studied them. Like it was because I had been doing psychic medium work for years. And then I came into these Gene Keys. And finally, it was like, hello, McFly. Like you have been learning all of this shit and not leaning into the confidence piece of it and the putting it out there piece of it. So, like, it's time to start showing up. And so I was like, okay, there's a gap right now. Like back 2 years ago, there wasn't hardly any content on the internet about the Gene Keys. And I was like, I'm going to make it, but I'm not just going to make it, I'm going to make it funny because that's how I learn is through humor. And I'm also going to make it about being a business, like being about business and being a creative because I love creating because I was an entrepreneur at that point for like then it was 4 years. Now it's been almost 6 years that I've been an entrepreneur and I wanted it to be focused on business. So I was like, this is what I know. I'm going to niche into this. And the most cool thing that happened from there is that my values of my brand built because I focused in on the Gene Keys first. And so I realized I was like, there's actually all of these things inside of the Gene Keys that like I really stand for. And that is confidence. That is being consistent. That is letting your freak flag fly and talking about the things that make you different and using your weird ass words and your strange voice. Like it was all of these things like tucked inside the lessons of the Gene Keys. It was about like strengthening your voice. I found that through the Gene Keys and those became like my brand pillars. And actually this is like a perfect time for you to ask that question about like how did I decide what to focus on? Because like the last part in here was talking about your messaging. So like using those hooks to talk about your topics, but truly you get to pick what it is. Like, what are the 3 to 5 things that you're known for? And so like, I've seen people that do different things, but they incorporate it together and they teach different things. Look at the lighting. My hands look like they're 2 different colors. But like they literally you can incorporate all of these different things as long as you know how to like lace them together and be each one of them like a puzzle piece to the greater picture of what you help people with. So I help entrepreneurs and content creators to be more confident, and I do that through things like the Gene Keys and their astrology. I do that through things of like their energy work. I do that through things of like their strategy and like getting brave and using their voice. So like you see it all starts like coming together and it grows and grows and grows from there. So now I have this list of like 5 things that I always talk about that are just like my values and just like who it is that I am as a teacher so that I can create all of these different programs whenever I feel like it or master classes whenever I feel like it that are all in this cohesive feeling, right? So I started on one and then I let it grow from there is basically like the short answer. Can you speak a little bit about finding your niche when one has many? Oh, Lena, that is like literally what we were just hitting on. I love to think about it. Whenever you have your business and you show your personality, you can truly teach about multiple things at once. Whenever people love you and you show up on camera and you make the reels of you talking and the reels of you with your dog or with your husband or hula hooping in your backyard like I do with my 10-year-old weighted hula hoop. Like it's truly one of those things that you can talk about and sell anything whenever people love who you are and whenever you love who you are. And so I would first start with 2 things that you really want to dig into, those 1 or 2 things that you want to teach on, and do that for 2 months. And have a freebie on that. Host a masterclass on that. Create a podcast around that, whatever it is. And then let it grow from there. something that you love, that you're good at, that you'd be a good teacher on. And trust yourself. Like I said, I used to see myself as I'd be like, "Oh, Stephanie, who do you think you are to teach this?" And I think everybody else and their mom knew better than me. And it's like such baloney. Ooh, this is new. You have to verify to continue your lives. That's fun. That's just, oh, that's an interesting thing. I guess I've been talking, it's probably been an hour now. And here's the thing, there was a time where I wouldn't have been able to talk for an hour on these lives. Like my voice would have broken up, like I would have ran out of things to say. But because I've continued to do this over and over again and fall in love with those pillars of those things that I talk about and know that like there's something good that I can say right now that can change people's lives, your confidence just skyrockets. Make a video on it. Yeah. So whenever it comes to like creating on TikTok, I have dabbled back and forth with the idea for Instagram or TikTok. I'm like, oh, I've been doing this since I was like a tarot reader. Do I want to start like a new page because like things have changed? And I've always had that moment where I've stopped and I haven't done that, even though like there's part of me that wants to experiment or see how it would be different. I've always stopped because there's something so beautiful about whenever I discover somebody that like truly activates me, that whenever I go back through their page and I go back through their content, I see all of the different pieces of their transformation. And I always have found that to be so beautiful and so cool because there is something that maybe somebody posted 5 years ago that totally knocks my socks off, right? And so I'm just a big believer that we go through these phases and we grow for a reason. And if for some reason I would have my account be deactivated, or if I like just really like woke up 2 months from now and was like, I have to create a new page, I don't like, this is like burning inside of me, I would just do it. You know what I mean? And I would just keep creating and keep getting sharper. And truly, your page can grow. Like the more that you make videos on one thing, like I said, it was like talking about those different niches, it'll grow bigger and bigger and bigger for the things that you're known for. I'm a reflector, so finding my genuine has been crazy. I agree with the following. Absolutely. So one of my favorite things and why I kind of like became a stinker in the world of like human design and astrology is because I don't ever want you to feel like being a manifester or being a reflector or being a projector limits you in any way, shape, or form. There's plenty of other squirrels out there that'll teach you about the shadow work of it. I used to be somebody that taught on shadow work all day and all night. And that is not what I do anymore because I have seen how powerful we can be whenever we lean into our gifts. That shit changes. You will face obstacles, you will face challenges. Doesn't matter if you're a generator, if you're a manifestor, if you're a reflector. Like none of that actually matters. It's how do you see that thing and say, holy shit. Like for you as a reflector, holy shit, I am so unique. There's hardly anybody on this damn planet like me. People want to hear what I have to say because it's so different. That's how I see it. Honestly, for me, whenever I see somebody that talks about being a reflector, I'm like, you little motherfucking unicorn. Like, use that shit to your advantage. See yourself as that unicorn. Like, live and breathe in that energy of, like, I'm so unique and I'm so different. And that is what's really going to help you fall in love with your perspective and fall in love with teaching. You have a lot of time on your hands. You know what's funny? I don't know what the "you have a lot of time on your hands" refers to, but truly, whenever I go into my side job and I go in early, I wake up early and I make sure that I post on Instagram. I make sure that I post on TikTok. I make sure that I sell in my stories. Sometimes I like record a spoken like Instagram story too, just like the ideas that are going through my brain or talking about different offers. And I'm just such a big believer that no matter how much time you have currently right now, like if you have the fire in your belly, you can make it work no matter what. You can make it work no matter what. So I just wanted to add that in. First, but many. Oops. Let me see. Absolutely. But it took me realizing I was feeling everyone else to find my own perspective. And that's really cool. Like that for you is one of those things where because you're now really understanding what it is that makes you different and who you are and what your feelings are, this is whenever you can get really loud and proud in them because you'll know that those are your feelings. And maybe you are somebody because you're a reflector, you're like, I got a reason right now why I get to be all like basking in my own energy and what it is that makes me different, that like I don't need to be like going out with friends 5 days a week. Like actually for my business, it's best for me whenever I like take myself out on a date on your own, like use it all to your advantage. So generator versus reflector. Generators are more of the type, there's manifesting generators and just regular generators. And I am a generator, not a manifesting generator, even though I work with a lot of manifesting generators. They have a lot of energy. So I love taking a lot of action in my business. I love moving. It's really, really fun for me. I don't get tired of it. It actually fuels me and it makes me more excited to show up every single day. Reflectors are the kind of people that all of their centers are open. And so they can actually absorb so many different things like a sponge, and even like different lessons and different things that are being taught. Like they can really absorb it all, but they have to learn to be like a really good filter for themselves with that as well. Like, what do they call it? Percolating. Whenever the coffee beans come through the filter, like you literally get to share your little percolations that come through. And so your way of seeing it, your way of teaching something, percolating is like such a fun word, by the way. Yeah. And so there's a time and place for twirling your thumbs. And like, that's not the territory we live in anymore. I realized for myself that I was ready to move and I was ready to see what I was capable of. And I was ready to be kind of like that sponge or like that washcloth that you just like wring it all out and you see what it is that you're capable of while you're here. And I feel like if you're listening to this, you have that inside of you. You have that drive. You have that fire. You're here to create an impact. And so I love that for you. And I want you to feel brave and I want you to feel weird and confident and courageous and wonderful and strange and different, and knowing that all of it can come together and help you build your brand and your business. You said you thought it had to do with spirituality. Yes, I mean, I guess a lot of people would consider human design spirituality. It's funny. After years of me teaching spirituality, I actually kind of feel like, and let me know if you've ever felt this way. I kind of feel like it was a pond that I went swimming in, and like all the healing, all the shadow work, all the tarot cards, all the energy updates and Mercury retrogrades. And then I like came out on the other side, like almost like a little island in the middle of this pond, and like just looked around and I saw so many people, and it was like, there are people that can stay in this for the rest of their life. And it's just this endless circle of trying to figure out what's wrong with you, of like basing your energy off of things that are outside of you. Or you can walk away with the lessons and the deep understanding that it taught you and keep growing from here. And so that's how I see things. That's why I don't really teach the astrology pieces in like a hippy dippy way, even though like, I mean, I guess I'm probably a little hippie-ish, but like, I just don't see it in that way. I would rather see it as something that is fuel for your fire so that you can become the most confident version of yourself in your business. Like that's what I'm passionate about. So yes, it was just a learning point to build you a safe space and grow 100%. Yeah. We all have different stages of our life. There's a lot of women that get into business and they go really hard into like the more action driven pieces. And then they have to come back and learn the spirituality. Well, I kind of feel like I was on the opposite side of the spectrum where I was like, I don't know how to like say what it is, the transformation that I provide to people. Like, bullshit, Stephanie. Like, I had to call bullshit on myself and be like, this is not all about vibes and manifesting. This is about seeing what it is that you're capable of and showing up for your business and selling and creating content and expressing yourself. Like, that is your job. And so I feel like I had a very different experience. And so that's why I share these things, because I know that I'm not the only one that has felt like this before, that has gone through the world of spirituality and come out the other side and been like, okay, cool, but like let's go bigger. What's next? What am I capable of? And so I don't know anything about the UBC course going around. Is that like the roadmap thing? I'm not sure. I really do, to the best of my ability, of staying in my own lane. There's very few people that I consume content from that, of course there's like a time of day where I like scroll through the pet TikToks, but like whenever it comes to like business content and things like that, there's very few people that I actually take advice from. And most of those people I'm paying, or I'm like, I love what it is they're doing. And it like turns on a piece of me that is like that inside of it as well. So I don't know much about what's going on with other people. I love the art of staying in your own lane. Like, I think is the grooviest thing. And it is something that we have to master, like being an online business owner, being a content creator. It's like, how much of myself do I allow to like find like the inspiration or the trends to try out or the fun things versus like what originally is coming to you that you want to share and you want to create. So you are wise enough to know what that balance is for yourself. You know that not every piece of information on the internet is for you. Like, that's honestly where I really feel like as women, we can like disempower ourselves sometimes, because it's like, you think you have to be all of these things because of like what the internet's saying. And it's like, actually, not all of those pieces of advice have to be for you. You're smart enough to take the pieces of what you know are going to improve your life and help you grow and help you to become a better person or a better entrepreneur, a better content creator, and go from there. You're smart enough. You are. And so, I just truly, at the end of the day, this is how I base my lives, by the way. If you're somebody that you're like, I want to go live, but like it kind of scares the shit out of me, this is how I do it now, is I literally, for my podcast or for my Instagram lives, I either pull up one of my Instagram posts, and a lot of my Instagram posts are like little micro lessons, right? If you haven't gone over there yet, make sure you go follow me on Instagram. There's a lot about confidence, consistency, building your business, showing up as yourself on social media. But a lot of them are just like in these little like chunks of lessons. And so I'll either pull up one of my Instagram posts and speak off of that and just riff, because there's only so much we can say in one Instagram post. So I like to be able to just like riff for the people that want to go deeper and understand a little bit more. Or I do like what I did today, and I wrote on my little Post-it note, like, boom, 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 boom. These are the 4 things that we're going to be talking about today to help you feel more confident online. And so I just go off of there. But this is my favorite kind of work to do with people. And I would love to help you with this. If this is something where you're like, I know I could be better with consistency. I know that my confidence needs an up level and I need to understand myself and what my gifts are. My superpower is being able to spot what it is that makes you different and helping you to articulate that on your social media. It is what I live for. It is what I breathe for. Like, it is so much fun for me to be your little creative, not tooth fairy. What would it be, like fairy godmother? Your little creative fairy godmother that is like in your back pocket and helps you really come up with incredible ideas and to really feel like this powerhouse, this force of nature. So if you're like, hey, Stephanie, I really, really like the way that you teach. I really want to learn this kind of stuff. I want to master it so that I can show up like a force of nature. I used to do just weeks of my coaching, but I have extended it to a month-long coaching package for $999. And I know this is not for everybody. This is for the woman who wants to go right now, who wants to put her foot on the gas and be creative and show up online and get through Cringe Mountain and get over the hump of like, all right, I can feel my next levels here, but like, how do I do it? I want to help guide you because I have went through so many of these rebirths in my business, in between being a lavender farmer and a psychic medium and teaching the Gene Keys and teaching content. And I want to help you through it. I want to help you come up with really incredible content ideas that are going to put you on the map for what it is that you teach. And I would love, love, love to help you. So just DM me, reach out over here, reach out over on Instagram. Even if you're listening to this podcast like 3 weeks from now, 3 years from now, reach out to me because I would love, love, love to help you with your business and just help you feel like the boldest, weirdest, funnest, most self-expressed version of you online so that you can shine. So thank you for joining me today. I had so much fun here with you. And I love getting on this podcast. I love talking about this kind of stuff. This is truly like what I feel like I came to this planet for, was to help people be their weird selves and be strong while they do it and be bold and be brave and to just be the most creative version of them possible. And I know that it's like an ever unfolding rose. Like your life is like that. You'll discover more and more about yourself as time goes on, and it becomes the most beautiful experience. And I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for me. We're just going to have a blasty blast as we build our businesses. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time. And that is how you record a podcast episode, just like that. Make it easy peasy. That's why I love recording these podcast episodes while I go live. And right now I have YouTube and TikTok happening live right now because I wanted to challenge myself. Like literally that was like my goal today. I always do a TikTok live while I'm recording a podcast because I like the interaction and I think it's fun, and it just works for me. It's working for me in two ways because it's community building and I'm recording that podcast, right? And it's getting people interested in like, hey, this is the way that she teaches. This is what she does. But today I had like that feeling in my belly where I was like, you should turn on YouTube live too while you do it, because I've been leaning back into my YouTube and longer form content again. And I could have came up with like 8 million excuses in the galaxy of like, oh, I don't know if that'll record at the same time as my GarageBand recording my podcast, or if that'll be too many distractions. Girl, stop talking yourself out of your greatness. This is why I just keep growing, is because I just do and do and do and do, even when it's uncomfortable, even whenever it's something I haven't done before. And I promise you, on the other side of that, you'll become the coolest, grooviest person in the galaxy whenever you just keep doing and keep learning and keep growing. So thank you so much again for joining me. And I hope that you have the most beautiful rest of your weekend. Make sure that you reach out to me if you are interested in that 1 month of coaching together for $999. I want to help you grow, glow up and blow up in the best kind of ways on social media, from all of the things that make you different. But I love you. Go follow me on Instagram as well to get all of the information that I'm putting out every single day. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.